What's up, everybody? Welcome into another edition of Crush City Territory. I'm Chandler Rome, joined by Tyler Stafford and perhaps the most special guest we have ever had on Crush City Territory, reigning American League Cy Young finalist, owner of a PPI draft pick, and the pride of St. Clair Shores, Michigan, Hunter Brown. Hunter, thank you. Appreciate you taking some time in spring training to get together with us. How have the first week and a half been for you in West Palm?
Yeah, thanks for having me. It's been good, get to see the boys again. Like the first day of school, right? People mention that, but it's good to see your buddies again after a long break. Guys, you spend 200 something odd days in a row with each other, so you do head towards the route of missing them, believe it or not. So we're back. Baseball's back. That's the most exciting part, and so yeah, it's just exciting.
Before we get going, before we start talking about baseball, we have got to do one thing. We have got to give a shout out to Mr. Kevin Brown, your dad. This podcast has so few fans, so few people that reach out and that like this thing. Your dad is one of them. And
yes, he is.
You told me at FanFest how much he watches us. He, unsurprisingly, you said he likes Tyler a lot more than he likes me.
I don't know if I was going to say that. He is a fan, though. He likes both of you guys. Don't shortchange yourself, Chandler.
Well, thank you, Mr. Kevin Brown. Thank you very much. Appreciate you watching, and I hope Hunter lives up to your expectations, and I hope this is good. Hunter, I introduced you when we started this thing, reigning American League Cy Young finalist, unquestioned Astros ace, opening day starter as of a week and a half ago. How has what you did last year, breaking out and really like announcing your presence in Major League Baseball, like did you feel fame like change you this offseason? Were you getting recognized in Detroit when you were walking around? Like, how did you feel like, last season maybe changed you publicly in perception and what people thought of you?
No, I mean, I think it's funny that you asked me that because other people have asked me that too. And I mean, I feel like I go home and I kind of already know everybody anyway. So I didn't feel any change. I got a few more pictures at the grocery store in Houston this offseason. But other than that, I mean, I feel like in baseball in general, the guys outside of a uniform don't get recognized as much unless, I mean, even especially if I'm wearing long sleeves or something like that, specifically people don't say, oh, hey, that's Hunter. But yeah, I mean, it's been good.
I have a question. So I was showing Tyler this before we started. And if you can see it on your phone, this is you at the 2022 Futures game at Dodger Stadium. Got that picture of you as you were going out to do your plyo stuff. And I was actually talking to someone in the Astros organization about this a couple of days ago because we saw you walk out to go do something on the agility field. And I remembered meeting you there and interviewing you at Dodger Stadium for this game. And like your transformation from this, where like the jersey is almost hanging off of you, to what you are now. Like, how did we get from that to this?
Well, ironically, you have probably one of the only pictures of me in high pants as well. So that thing's gold. No, I mean, if you're talking about the physicality, my trainer Joe Neal has been awesome for me at 2SP Sports in Madison Heights, Michigan. I go back there every year. I've been working with him since I got drafted. I tried the old go to the local LA Fitness for a couple weeks out of your first short season spring training, and I said, I might need a different edge here. So, got working with him, and then I like to say I got bodied by Joe. Put the time in with him, and I think that, and then just housing as much food as possible for a couple of years really helped me gain some weight. So I mean, in that picture, I was probably 200 pounds, and maybe now I'm pushing 230. So a little bit different.
We've talked about obviously the physical transformation. Now we have all discussed externally when you added a sinker and just became one of the best pitchers on the planet. I assume that it is not as easy as just saying, oh, I'll just throw a sinker and that will fix everything. Can you just walk through how adding that pitch change the type of pitcher that you were before, how it plays up, everything else? Like, why did that unlock so much for you?
Yeah, so I mean, I like to think that my identity before I got to pro ball, because in college I threw mostly twos and sliders, and then I got to pro ball, and then I think kind of based on my arm slot, and then all the tricks and secrets of the trade that the Astros have, they quickly kind of shut that down and turned me into a north-south guy. So I'd like to say it's always been in there, and I always felt like I could go back to it. But, at the time that it started coming up where I was like, okay, something's got to make a change here. I was arguably one of the worst pitchers in baseball maybe not even arguably. I probably was for about a month. So, at that point, you're looking around and you're like, man, I really love the big leagues and I definitely want to stay here, but there's not many guys that get rolled out there over and over with, an ERA north of 10. So first thing you do is you ask the guys on your team, some of the best players in the world. And luckily I'm in the clubhouse at the time with, Justin Verlander, Bregman, Altuve, Jordan, Dubon was a guy that I talked to at length about it. And they all kind of just gave me the same feedback where it was, I kind of pigeonholed myself into staying with a harder velocity approach to the outer third of the plate. So my glove side and away to righties. And with that, it just really tightens up your zone to where, if you're already working just that outer half, well, then you go anymore, the chases start to go away because now they know, that they just need that window. And then I wasn't throwing anything inside. So, right-handed hitters especially were destroying me. And so I just said, all right, well, instead of trying to, maybe just drill four seams in, I said, I got this thing I know in the back pocket from my old days at Wayne State that at least it's going to go right. I don't know exactly how much right it's going to go, but it's going to get in there. And then, you combine that, and then now you got a bunch of different options. So I leaned into my changeup a little bit more as well. And then when you're throwing a changeup that, like mine, is a little bit, depth and arm side, it's a big difference in a four seam. So it also helped my changeup a lot. It opened up the slider a little bit, and then, my four seam and curveball got that much better because then there was that other element that hitters had to respect. So it is a pitch for me that, I lean on heavily, but it also does just help make my other stuff better.
So it's a pitch you threw before at Wayne State, and you just hadn't for a while, and then brought it back. Same grip and everything. Did they tweak anything for you?
No, right off the shelf. I was lucky enough that I had some natural seam shifted wake on it, and yeah, I mean, I was throwing it 95 plus or so. So, anything that hard is going to be all right. So I was able to just kind of take it off the shelf and roll with it.
Hunter, I know you never want to relive April 11th, 2024, probably ever again. Your start at Kauffman.
Real quick, it seems like in every interview I give, it gets brought up, though. I'm going to throw that out there. It's like it's that nightmare that just keeps coming back. But I'm sorry, Chandler. Go ahead.
What I wanted you to talk about was, so that was a getaway day game. I want you to talk about that flight home because, I know that we have talked about it a little bit, but I know Ryan Presley was on that flight and very much helped you kind of get through that. I know Alex Bregman came. Tell me about that flight home and just what those veterans you just talked about, what they did to maybe help you get through that, because I don't know that there's a rule book or a playbook to get through or to compartmentalize what you endured on that field.
Yeah, I mean, I think, not only, I mean, obviously I was feeling pretty miserable. Nobody wants to go out there and not have success. And then, when you put a magnifying glass and blow it up into what it was, it's even worse. So, but then also, the team was struggling too. So you kind of had both. So everybody knew that something had to change. And then, it was changed as a whole. And then, the leadership that we had, it was kind of like, hey, if Hunter, we're going to need you. That's kind of the route that Presley took with me and Bregman. It was like, hey, we need you to be successful. So something's got to change here. And, we believe in you. So you should probably start believing in yourself as much as we do, which at the time was, maybe a little bit easier said than done. But then again, I'd had success the year prior at for the first half. My second half of my rookie year wasn't what I'd hoped, but you kind of put that all in, and then you start to try and get the good snowball going. I like to say where you try and build on the good things, right? So I knew at the time, like, okay, my four seam still was playing pretty good. My curveball was doing fine. It just I wasn't necessarily locating these enough and changing speed. So it was a mentality change of, all right, I know that I have the tools to be successful because I've already shown that a little bit. And then, what tools do I have that I can lean into to help me with that as well? And then, we kind of took the identity of like, all right, this has been a terrible start, but if anybody's going to do it, it's going to be us.
I'm curious, we talk a lot on this pod about, and we brought it up with Josh. We had Josh Miller on a couple weeks ago, and we always talk about your first inning of last season. You got out there, you faced Lindor, Soto, and Alonso, and you were 99. You were dotting whatever you wanted. Alonso got you deep to the deepest part of the park, but Soto and Lindor looked absolutely helpless against you. I've said it before from the press box, like my jaw was on the floor. I did not expect that from you in your first inning of 2025. I guess I wonder, like, in your head, when you do that, is it as simple as you thinking, oh man, I got this? Like, I knew you had to feel good coming out of spring training, but when you see those three hitters react the way they did to your stuff, what are you thinking after that first inning?
I think it helps you believe in the work that you put in the off season. But, ironically, my last start before the start of the season in camp, I had walked 5 and had 2 innings rolled on me. So I was going out there with a little bit of, maybe a chip on my shoulder. Like, I'm not going to let this happen again. Have a poor start to the season. So that was in my mind as well. And then, Deichen was bumping. So the adrenaline was flowing. Like you said, 3 big name guys that, when you're at this level, you want to compete against the best guys in the world. And, that's a pretty solid top 3 to start your season. So I think you kind of just combine all those things, and then, you have a little bit extra juice. And then when you get done with that inning, you're like, all right, let's, obviously here I am again. Season has started. We're back into it. And then just try to take it into the next inning. Then you settle in and you're in a start versus, just running off purely kind of emotions, I guess, in that first inning.
So, I mean, you talk about having the extra juice at the beginning of the year. This year, you're starting opening day to the surprise of no one, and I'm sure yourself as well. But it is announced, it's out there. I mean, again, just 5th round pick from Wayne State, and struggling at the beginning of your career. You have it. Like, what does that mean? Have you been able to fully process how much your career has changed in the last 2 years to now being an opening day starter?
No, I think I kind of try to keep it to, and it's a pretty cliche answer, but you try to keep it to one day at a time. Obviously I'm aware that I'll be getting the ball that day, but I got a lot of work to do in camp here, to tighten up some things and to get ready for the season. So that's where the focus is at right now. And then as for the last couple of years, I got some of those results personally by taking that mentality into those. You don't want to look at a season at 30 starts or 32 starts or whatever. You want to just look at it at one start 32 times, which I think can help you kind of, one, compartmentalize both the good and the bad. Never ride too high or too low. But then it also keeps you, into yourself and what you're working on and how to apply it to each game.
You pitched about as well as you could last year. Just there doesn't seem to be on paper or just looking at stat, like, it doesn't seem to be much that you can work on or that you can improve upon. But I know how you guys are wired. I know how every baseball player is wired. There's always something you can get better at. What are those things? What did you go into this offseason thinking, like, I need to get better at after last year?
Yeah, I think I can do a better job of, holding runners, specifically in my time to the plate at times. I have such a high leg kick that I'm sure Vic and Diaz last year at times were like, come on, man, give me a shot. But so there's definitely that element to it, and I think we've kind of been talking about that as a team as a whole. So I don't think that's just for me, but personally, I think if I could strike out as many right-handed hitters as I do left-handed, that would be awesome. And then first pitch strikes. You want to, if you're getting ahead of guys, you're going to get deeper into games, and kind of some of that stuff is gonna even itself out. You'll find yourself in opportunities to put guys away faster and have more efficient innings. Really.
I mean, at what point did you start throwing 98? Like I'm assuming that was not happening at Wayne State. Like when did that? Was it? You were
my
pumping
junior
98?
year.
Okay.
Yeah, my junior year was the first time. I was actually, again, ironically, I was at we did our spring break tournament for Wayne State. We went down to Kissimmee a couple times. So my junior year at Kissimmee, I hit 98 for the first time. But it was a big game. Augustana, they were reigning champs, and I was getting the rock against them. And so, that was, maybe it was just meant to be. Maybe the Astros saw that in their own backyard and said, we got to have this guy. At least that's what I like to tell myself.
Yeah, I was going to say, I have a theory that, when pitchers really gain that velo later in their career, you still try to nibble like you used to have to when you were throwing 92. And sometimes I'm just yelling at the TV like, big guy, you throw 99, just pump it down the middle, see what happens,
That's
no.
I feel like it sits in everybody's head though. The pitch that you throw down the middle that ends up over the fence, you're like, oh boy, I'm not going to do that anymore. So,
well, I mean,
if
we're modeling everything after Justin Verlander, I can tell you, I wrote an article once for Baseball Prospectus that he threw more fastballs down the middle than any other pitcher in baseball, and it was just go off the curveball and the slider, obviously. But dead center heat. He was the leader for several years there.
He's got a couple outside factors too. He's throwing the ball from the sky, and at the time, I don't think many guys were throwing 23 inches of vert on the fastball. So maybe he was an outlier.
Hunter, you mentioned that tournament in Kissimmee. It was the Russ Matt Invitational, and that is how the Astros found you. Scott Oberhelman, the area scout who still works for the Astros, who signed you. He saw you there first, and the only reason he saw you is because he overheard some other scouts talking about you. And it was his first scouting assignment for the Astros, was scouting this tournament. He overheard a couple of other scouts saying, oh, Wayne State has this kid that we really like. And he said, I should stay here a little bit longer and go see him. Went to see you, and the rest is history. So you were onto something, that you were in the Astros' backyard, and that is how they found you at that spring break tournament in Florida. But your road to Wayne State's interesting too, because your only D1 offers were to go be a bullpen catcher. And
Eastern Michigan tossed me a little courtesy. They said you could be the 35th guy on the roster out of 35. They said they thought I could pitch a little bit, but I was a decent catcher. I played in Michigan, so give it a grain of salt. I could turn and burn on some 77 to 80 mile an hour fastballs. This isn't Texas or Florida, but I like to think I had some tools behind the plate. But they obviously didn't have any scholarship money for me. Being the what was going to be the last guy on the roster, and that visit was a heck of a lot different than when I went to Wayne State. I think Coach Kelly, Ryan Kelly over at Wayne State, he took me around personally in the golf cart, so I spent the day with him. And he was adamant that he loved the fact that I could compete, and he thought I could compete on the mound right away. And at the time I was 17, so when you're 17 years old and a head coach is telling you that, you can come in and play right away, and you got another one that's telling you can hang out in Ypsilanti for the whole year, it's a pretty easy decision, and it ended up being, one of the best ones of my life. I love the fact that I went to Wayne State. I love all the guys there, the coaching staff, and it's like a true, it's a true family there, and then obviously not known as a baseball school necessarily. So, I take pride in that as well. Myself and Anthony Bass, a couple guys that came out of there. So it's definitely an honor to be from there, no doubt.
Can we talk about this guy too?
Oh yeah, there you go.
Tyler introduced me to this guy. And if you're watching on YouTube, if you're listening on audio, go to YouTube just to look at Wayne State's mascot. I don't know what this dude is called. I know he's just a warrior, but you got to look at that dude every time you pitch. That would fire me up too.
That's right.
The W chest hair coming in there. Is he a dinosaur? What is going on with this thing?
I don't have the answers for you, but here we are talking about it, so they're doing something right.
The eyebrows rule. I love this guy. I need a shirt with his face on it for sure. You mentioned the catching. As I look at this roster with Dubon gone, I don't see anybody that screams emergency catcher. Do you think you have enough pull now to nudge your way into the list?
You see, last year there was a day where Diaz and Caratini were both in the lineup, and they were talking about Dubon and Walker being options, and I kind of floated it to Miller. I was like, hey man, don't forget, I don't mind getting back there, and he shut that down pretty quick.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I don't think you will be seeing me back there, and honestly, I don't want to. I mean, these guys, everybody. Imagine catching Brian Abreu's slider in a 2-strike count. No thanks. I think I'm just fine watching it from the dugout.
Well, you had Tetsuya Imai playing shortstop for you during your live BP yesterday. So who knows what cross training can happen.
That's right.
We made it 22 minutes in, and I know fans are going to crucify me if I don't ask you this. So this is the one hard-hitting question, hard news question you'll get from the resident reporter on here. Everyone's wondering, this is the time of year for extensions. This is the time of year where negotiations for extensions happen. I know there has at least been some interest in the past between you and the Astros in an extension. Is that something that you are open to? Is that something that maybe you have told Scott Boras that you'd like to explore? Kind of where are you in that in extension world right now?
Those conversations have obviously, come up between Scott and myself. And with all transparency, I love Houston. I love playing for this team. And just I haven't heard anything since I was a rookie. So my focus is to be the best I can be for this team this season, and that's what I'm focused on. But like I said, I love putting on that Astros uniform, and I got no visions of doing it anywhere else. So that's what I can give you guys. I haven't heard anything, and that's just kind of where I stand with that. So hopefully that's what you're looking for.
I'm sure the fans will love it. I'm sure they will. But I had to get that in at some point in 22 minutes. And before we let you go, we told you we keep you 15 minutes, and we have already exceeded that. But real quick, your goals for 2026, both for you individually and maybe for the whole team, because I think one thing that by Joe Espada naming you the opening day starter when he did, he made it very clear that you are a leader on this team, that you are the leader of the pitching staff. He wanted to make the pitching staff aware of that on the first day of pitchers and catchers. So I feel like you can also speak for the team a little bit here.
Yeah.
What are the goals personally for you and for the 2026 Houston Astros?
I think, individual goals kind of come together over the course of the season. You kind of see some things that are attainable. Obviously, what I want to do is make all my starts. Being at the front of the rotation, that's a big deal. You want to eat up innings for the team. You want to, when it's your time to step on the mound, you want to be a guy where the bullpen looks at you and the rest of the coaching staff looks at you like, all right, we're getting some quality here. So that's number one. And then as a team and as a unit, our goal is to win a championship no matter how that happens. I know it's big to talk about winning your division and all those things, but you just want to take it to the dance and see what you can do when you get there. So because that's the end goal. We're here for championships, and that's where our mind's at. So whatever we can do to give us an opportunity to do that, that's what we're going to be focused on.
Are we touching 100 this year?
99.9. I got real quick. I got something about that. I tell people this all the time. At this point, I feel like it's better off not being 100 guy, because the second that you start hitting 100 and you come out and you don't, the other dugout starts to murmur. They're like, "Oh, look at Brownie. He's not hitting 100. Is he feeling all right?" Versus if you're the 97, 98 guy and you're popping some nines, they're like, "Oh, Hunter's feeling good. We got to really strap it in today." So I think I like where I'm at. I'm trying to stay around there, and if it happens, it happens. I'll obviously be thrilled. I get enough grief from the guys in the clubhouse that I don't have what it takes to hit triple digits. So, I would love for it to happen to mute some of those things, but that's not on the radar necessarily.
Very
Excellent,
quickly.
Excellent use of radar there.
That's right. I'm glad you picked up on that.
Very quickly, are you keeping just what the doctor ordered as your warm-up music? Because I low-key think that's one of the best warm-up musics on the team.
Well, thank you, Chandler.
I like it.
Yeah, you want to be just what the doctor ordered, and it just so happens Ted Nugent has some Michigan ties. So I haven't really thought about it, but I don't see a reason in changing it now, especially hearing that you think so highly of it.
Oh, well, I'm honored. I'm honored that you take my thoughts into consideration on this. Hunter, again, we very much appreciate this. This was awesome. I appreciate you taking some time today between spring training. I know this is a busy time for you guys, but thank you again. Thank you again to Mr. Kevin Brown for watching and spurring this on, because Hunter actually requested to come on.
That's
just
true.
just so his dad could see him on Crush City territory. Thanks again, Hunter.
That's the only time you're going to hear us on an Astros podcast thank Kevin Brown. That's gonna hurt the old Astros heads in here.
That's awesome.
All right.
Thank you guys. God bless.
Right.
Have a good one. We'll see you.
Thanks, Hunter.
All right. See you, Hunter. We'll talk a little bit more about what's been going on in Astros camp right after this message from our friends at Foul Territory.
All right. We got the Warby Parkers. I got the Raiders. But one thing I upgraded to, polarized. Sorry about it.
Yeah, these are good, not only for wearing, but also out in the sun. When I become that baseball coach, I always want to be with my kids. I got the Hatchers. They're darker, a little bit wider for my face. They fit perfect. They're comfortable. It's an easy process to order these really, really cool glasses.
I am a diehard Warby Parker fan. I do have prescription glasses, and I wear Warby Parker every day for many years. I'm excited about this one. Give it a shot. Warby Parker gives you quality and better looking prescription eyewear at a fraction of the going price. Our listeners get 15% off plus free shipping when they buy 2 or more pairs of prescription glasses at warbyparker.com/foul. That's 15% off when you buy 2 pairs of glasses at warbyparker.com/FOUL. After you purchase, they will ask you where you heard about them. Please support our show and tell them Foul Territory sent you.
Well, that was awesome. That was really cool to get Astros opening day starter and ace Hunter Brown on the podcast. Now that everyone has dropped off and stopped listening or watching because they're gone and these two jabronis are going to talk.
Hey, what other famous dads do we have in here? Like, help us out. Everybody needs to be stepping it up.
Truly, like, I will peel the curtain back here. So the origin of getting Hunter on the pod was at FanFest in last month at Dyken Park. Hunter came up to me, goes, "I got a bone to pick with you," and he looked pretty serious. And I'm like, oh, S word. Like what did I'm thinking, like, what did I write? What did I tweet? I'm even thinking, like, what did I say on the pod? Did I make fun of him? Like I'm just thinking in my head, and he goes, "You got this great podcast and you never have me on." And I was like, "Are you kidding me?" And, he said that I will say this, if Mr. Kevin Brown is still watching, Hunter told me at FanFest that his dad will clip like parts of the episode he watches on YouTube. He will clip parts of the episode that he likes and send them to Hunter. Now, whether Hunter actually watches them is another story. But Hunter did say that he likes you a lot, Tyler.
So you hear that, everybody? Hunter Brown's dad is liking and subscribing on YouTube. So step it up. We didn't have time. I did while we were talking. I searched in my tweets for Hunter Brown. Most of them are just about how good at baseball he is, but I did find this one that I had forgotten that I said, where I said Hunter Brown looks like a misunderstood bully on a Disney Channel original movie. So apologies to Hunter Brown for putting that on the internet. My bad.
The only thing I'm mad that we did not discuss, I felt bad enough already for bringing up the Royal start. As he said, he gets that in every interview, but I did want to bring up the Zach Neto hit by pitch and him trying to jump Christian Moore right after, because look, I wouldn't corner any of these dudes in a hall.
Yeah,
I wouldn't
not
corner
that
any
guy.
dudes in Dark Alley. Hunter Brown's at like the top of the list. So the dudes I ain't gonna say one crossword to, because it would end very quickly for me. It would have ended very quickly for Christian Moore. It would have ended very quickly for Zach Neto too. If hands would have been thrown, it would not have gone well for the Los Angeles Angels. Tyler, as you've been perusing the social media streets, as you've been perusing the coverage from all the esteemed outlets here in West Palm Beach, what has caught your fancy? Is there anything that you're curious about? Is there anything that you've that's stuck out to you that maybe you want to talk about a little bit more?
Yeah, I didn't know Jeremy Pena and Carlos Correa could juggle. That was exciting to see.
I knew Jeremy could. He does it all the time. I did not know Carlos could. I did not know that.
There we go. That's my secret talent for my kids. It's a big hit. Yeah, I mean, fill us in. What's been going on down there? Everybody's reported.
Everybody's here.
Paredes is still here. What's going on?
Did you like that? Your quote tweet of that picture of Joe and Isak before like the first day of full squad, was that of Mice and Men?
Yes, it's the end of Mice and Men where Lenny is looking at the rabbits. That's exactly what that picture looked like.
Yeah, I know this has gotten a lot of run just because. So I do think it's important to maybe now. This is going to reinforce a lot of what we have talked about for the last month and a half. But we have now heard from everyone. We have now heard from everyone involved in this roster puzzle, and summarizing all of their comments. Jeremy Pena's goal is to play 162 games next year. Jose Altuve made it very adamant that he is playing more than 150 games next year if he is not hurt. Christian Walker says he wants to be the everyday first baseman. Yordan Alvarez did not seem enthused about being the everyday designated hitter. And then Isak Paredes, obviously, I don't think the quotes that you got from Isak were that revelatory, but if you, and I know that there's videos out there of us conducting the interview, if you watch his just mannerisms, like every question as it's being translated to him, you just get this wry smile and this just kind of, I don't know, I guess I'm here. But so a couple things I want to clarify. A lot of people latched on to Yordan Alvarez's quotes, and I'm pulling it up right now just so we can get, the exact quotes. But essentially what Yordan Alvarez said was that he's never been hurt playing left field. He has never been hurt, and did not say it out loud, but hinted that he would like to play some left field and not be a DH only. What I can tell you, and what I wrote in the story on the day that this all came out, this is not the first time Yordan Alvarez has expressed that. It's not the first time he's expressed it either publicly or privately. He has told management this. He has told people behind the scenes this. This is not new. Nothing he said in Astros camp, I believe he talked on Sunday, I believe. Nothing he said was a surprise. And then Joe Espada went a little viral, I guess, because on Monday he responded to a question about it with, I never said he wasn't going to play left field. And Joe's right. He said the majority of his at-bats will come at DH. Obviously, the other ones will come in left field because Yordan Alvarez is not coming out of the lineup. Again, it just, I'm tired of talking about it. It just underscores how it's just not going to work. Barring someone getting hurt, And look, maybe that happens. Maybe some, and I hope it doesn't just for the player's sake, but maybe that happens. Maybe someone gets hurt and they look like the smartest people in the world and they hold on to Isak Paredes and someone gets hurt in the next 3 or 4 weeks and they've got a fill-in ready to go. But as it's currently constructed, it's not going to work. And as you listen to Joe Espada talk, all of the questions he's getting about how are you going to make this work, how are you going to make this work, there is no real like plan. It's just, oh, it'll work itself out. It'll work itself out. Do you want to read between the lines as to what it'll work itself out means, Tyler?
Yeah, I think it will be a trade that will
Yes.
work itself out. Unless I can go, listen, Jordan wants to play left field. That opens up DH. Apparently, Isak has been playing some second base. We can make it work. We can get everybody in here and happy. But no, it's going to be a trade, which is unfortunate.
As far as what is going on with trades, I know that things are kind of status quo right now. These are things that can pick up pretty quickly, though. It takes one phone call for things to accelerate. It takes one phone call for things to go from 0 to 100 real quick. I do think, though, you may see, games. Most teams open spring training play games-wise on Friday or Saturday of this week. I think there may be some teams that enter that, quite frankly, get a look at their club for the days leading up to games and say, we didn't expect this guy to come in and look like this, or this guy's bat speed is really dwindled and we probably need an upgrade here, or like things are going to happen in the next, 4 or 5 days that will maybe force teams' hand a little bit and force them into, getting into these conversations. And the other thing that should be noted here, Tyler, is that, like, as we've talked about, like, they don't want to trade Isak Paredes. Like, they don't want to.
Why would you? Yeah.
And as a result, they have a huge price tag on him. And they should keep the price tag very high. They should not sell low on him. They should not sell him for pennies on the dollar. And if that means going into March and maybe going into opening day with him, like, okay. But I think that people don't kind of realize, like, you don't have to wait till the trade deadline in season to make a deal. Like, this isn't one of those things where, like, every trade in season has to be done from July 25th until August 2nd when the trade deadline hits. So the aggression and maybe the calls, the incoming flood of calls has maybe slowed a little bit, but make no mistake, they are still, actively looking for a value that they feel comfortable with. Parting with Isak Paredes, they are still actively, pursuing this, and I do not expect this infield surplus to be together for very long.
They still can make it work, though.
I mean,
they could do it. Again, it only works if it's working. I've said it before, but if we look up at the end of April and the Astros are 22-10 and they have all of these people on the team and whatever, like, it'll work. But the hard part is when you go through those stretches where, you're losing and you're not getting the playing time that you need. But look, someone is going to get hurt. That's just a simple fact. And boy, wouldn't it be nice to have an extra really good player on your team that can spell Correa, who certainly should not be playing 150 games a year, despite if he wants to do that. I don't know that he does, but I don't think I want him playing 150 games in the field. Jordan clearly wants to play left field. Surely we can fake Isak at second base 20 times a year. You can make it work. I understand why it doesn't look like it will work. But again, if the season started today, you could write a lineup with all of the best players on your team in the lineup and make it work for that day. The hard part is doing it 162 times.
If you're watching on YouTube, you probably saw during Tyler's answer that my eyes got very big really quickly.
Are we going to do an emergency pod?
No, we're going to do something interesting. This has nothing to do with the Astros. It has to do with baseball. It's
Ooh.
nothing to do with the Astros. Tyler, I'm going to put a tweet up that came out 2 minutes ago, and I want to get your instant reaction. We're going to share screens right now if you're watching on YouTube. And I will read it aloud for those not watching on YouTube. This is from Jeff Passan at ESPN, very esteemed baseball writer. MLBPA Executive Director Tony Clark resigned after an internal investigation revealed he had an inappropriate relationship with his sister-in-law, who had been hired by the union in 2023, sources tell ESPN. That's hard to come back from. Part of the reason...
Look, they say keep your work and family separate.
Oh,
I don't think this is what they meant, but yikes. Although I guess that is better than the other reasons that we thought perhaps he was resigning. So I don't know, I don't know where we draw the line on that one, but maybe that's all it is for his sake. Yeah, no, that's bad. Don't do that. I feel very bad for that family and everybody that has to go through with that. That's not fun.
Oh man. We can actually tie this all into this whole podcast. Hunter Brown is the Astros MLBPA union rep. Part of the reason that we had to do this pod a little early today and keep him for a condensed amount of time is all of the MLBPA, the 30 MLBPA union reps and the executive subcommittee are meeting this afternoon virtually to discuss Tony Clark's resignation. I know we do a lot of Astros stuff on here. We don't really get into the national kind of business of baseball, but this is a huge deal. Obviously like that revelation that Tony Clark allegedly had an inappropriate relationship with his sister-in-law is one thing, but the mere fact that he could have resigned for any number of reasons, the mere fact that he resigned this close to bargaining when, these two sides do bargain a little bit during the season once opening day begins, it's a huge deal. It's a huge deal, and it's something that is certainly going to be for the next 8 or 9 months. It's going to be kind of the looming specter just kind of over this season, over everything in baseball, but huge news.
You should get the guy that got kicked out of the push and win combo, whichever one he was. Let him run the players union. See what happens there.
I don't like. I'm not even. This feels so out of my league. This feels so like out of my realm of understanding.
It's bad. You need a good leader. This is going to be a rough negotiation round. And yeah, you need somebody that is just going to stare 30 billionaires in the face and try to stand up for the players. And yeah, not good news.
And I want to make it clear too. We said this after Tucker's deal, and everyone was losing their minds in the aftermath. Oh, there's a lockout coming. Just like everyone, like Tony Clark could have been in charge. Tony Clark could have not been in charge. There's a lockout coming. Like it does not matter who was in charge. There was going to be a lot. The owners are going to lock the players out, barring something just incredibly unforeseen happening. Lance McCullers talked about it. Actually, we should probably talk about Lance really quickly. But before we talk about Lance, he did talk about, and it was a Freudian slip. He said, in discussing his future, he said, and next year there's going to be a strike, and he caught himself, and he goes, or lockout. Yeah, it's coming. Within those comments, though, Lance McCullers.
First time he's known a strike was coming.
Oh, it's not. That's in
love.
Mean.
That's out of love. That's because my brain has to make a joke to cope, and I felt so sad for him.
It was, it was tough to listen. And if you watched, from Jason Bristol, and first of all, shout out to Jason Bristol, shout out to KHOU 13 in Houston, the only television station that is down here. That Jason Bristol's been down here for about a week and a half. I don't know what is going on in the Houston media market. Like, you have one of the most relevant teams in all of the sport with some of the most high profile players. And there is one television station down here providing any coverage. That's a dereliction of duty, quite frankly. Like, I understand that, money is tight. I understand that travel budgets are constrained everywhere, but come on. like cover this team like you're a major market, like you're the 4th largest city in the country. Like, it's ridiculous. But
There's
yeah,
what, like 10 guys from Japan that are over there
Yeah.
covering one player?
yeah, shout out to Jason Bristol. Shout out to KHOU 13. Like, and look, there may be other TV stations coming later in spring training, but to have only one television station here for the first full squad workout, to have only one television station here when position players reported, just is out of that's absurd, to be quite frank. So shout out to Jason Bristol. But if you watched what Jason put up, kind of the video of what was going on, and it's tough. It's emotional. I was standing next to Lance while he was and you could see him shaking, and you could tell that there was a lot of emotional kind of weight coming off of him. There were he didn't cry. I will not. There were no tears streaming down his face, but it was a very emotional time for him. And by now the quotes are. Everyone has seen the quotes. Basically, at which point, I'll share it up if you're watching on YouTube. I'll share from my story in The Athletic, because I want to be completely transparent to Lance. He said, "I just want to have a nice last year with this uniform on. I've been in this organization since I was barely 18 years old. So to be great and have a nice last year here and whatever the future holds. If the future for me is to be home with my family, I'll be happy with that. I'll be content with that. If the future for me is to be in this game, if I can be healthy, if I can help a team win, I'll be happy with that too." It sure sounded like someone that is preparing for this to be the last year of his career. And look, Lance even gave you the qualifier that, if he goes out there and pitches well this year and another team wants to sign him next year, he'd certainly be open to that. But he made it a point to tell us that he's done enough to provide for his family. He's made $100 million in his career. His legacy in an Astros uniform is untouched, whether he throws another pitch or not. He will forever be a face of this era. He will forever have kind of the legacy that he should have in this city and within this franchise, whether he throws another pitch. But it was sad. It was sad to watch, sad to listen to, and sad to read.
Well, one of my favorite Astros players of all time. I loved it from the second he came up. Of course, I know I mention it a lot, but he was on the Hooks team that I worked for as well as like a 19, 20-year-old, just dominating people. It was so fun to watch him. And then it was so fun to go from watching him in Corpus Christi to a month later, wearing the Batman cleats in Houston. I sent you and Josh Reddick the video of me watching ALCS Game 7 where he threw 20 some odd straight curveballs, and I'm just losing my mind. I mean, yeah, he is a legend in Houston forever. It is so frustrating when injuries are the reason that you can't perform anymore. There's a difference between getting old and losing skills and you just kind of fall off, but when you just have injury after injury, it is demoralizing. It's awful because what their body wants to do and it just can't anymore. And I feel so much for Lance. I hope that I mean, obviously, I hope he comes out and he's incredible this year. But as you said, no matter what, that man is a legend in Houston forever. So I am certainly wishing him the best of luck this year.
And I'm happy that we're going to have Josh on the pod on Friday to discuss all of this, to discuss his disdain for those Batman cleats you just mentioned. He was actually in the other Lance made his debut against the A's, right? And he was in the other dugout against he faced Lance in his major league debut and apparently chirped from the dugout that this brash kid was wearing Batman cleats. So
he's just mad he didn't have Spider-Man ones on.
Correct. That too. But we'll get Josh on. I'm happy we're going to have him on Friday to talk about Lance's, because I mean, he was teammates with him, obviously saw everything he did in 2017 and the things he's done for the franchise, for the city. I'm glad we'll have Josh on Friday to talk about all that. But until then, you can follow me on X at Chandler_Rome. You can follow Tyler at Tyler C. Stafford. If you enjoyed Hunter Brown being on this podcast, please rate and review this on Apple and Spotify. Please like the YouTube video and subscribe to the YouTube channel. That all helps us grow. That all helps get the word out. Maybe other players' parents will like us and tell their kids to come on with Chandler and Josh and Tyler on Crush City territory. Like I said, we'll be back on Friday with Josh Reddick to discuss everything that's happening in spring training and to discuss what the Astros will do going forward. But until then, we will talk to you on Friday.
Hey, I wrote the Astros players comments for the Baseball Prospectus annual this year. It's really great. It's a book that's like 700 pages long and has essays and comments of every player. It's really fun to flip through as the Astros are playing that team for the first time every year. And you get to read all my goofs about all of the Astros players in there. So go and buy that and support a great company in Baseball Prospectus. Bye.